President Obama will have some selling to do to fellow Democrats. A lot think his tax compromise with Republicans is tilted too much in the favor of the wealthy. During a news conference yesterday, he said it was time to put politics aside and get something done for the American people. He said in the short term, all taxpayers win. But in the long term, there is much work to do. So how much? Joe Krier, president of Krier Wealth Management, back here on the morning show to talk about the significance of the deal. You know, I was trying to think of some historical moment that was much like what we saw with President Obama. And I went back to the Gipper, Ronald Reagan. He had to make a deal to win the freedom of the Iranian hostages. This was a hostage deal for President Obama.
Yeah, there was. You know, people are kind of held hostage to their budgets right now, you know, and we're coming up against a point where people are facing a much, much higher tax bill at the exact point when the economy is struggling to get going, and they had to do something. President Clinton also did something like this where he rounded up a bunch of Republican votes and then filled in with some Democrats to get NAFTA passed way back then, and Obama's kind of doing the same thing here.
A lot of people are talking about how this adds to the deficit, and I was reading an article in the Philadelphia Inquirer this morning, and people asked, where's the money coming from? And the answer is pretty simple. It's actually coming from China. Is it worth the price?
I think it is, not so much because of, you know, it's just money well spent, so to speak. It's just that we're trying to get this economy going. And just like quantitative easing is basically printing up money and trying to pump it into the economy, well, this is just cutting revenue of the federal government. Their balance sheet is so far out of whack that who knows when things are going to be balanced again. But that's not the key issue right now. The key issue is that we've got 9.5% plus unemployment, and everybody knows that those people need to get back to work if politicians want to get reelected, if the economy is going to keep going. To make the whole thing work, we've got to have people working.
You know, it's kind of interesting. This becomes another issue in 2 years, a presidential election year, but we'll talk about that at another time. Everybody sitting there at their house is saying, all right, so what does this mean for me? What are the positives?
Yeah, I mean, the big positive is that we would have all been faced with an average of about $3,000 extra taxes next year. So it's not like money in hand, it's just money that we're not going to have to pay that we otherwise would have. There's 2 million people that would have, their unemployment benefits would have expired. That continues, which is a good thing, of course. And the economic recovery doesn't get a baseball bat to the side of the head. It actually gets a shot in the arm because optimism is there, confidence is there, and Wall Street loves this deal right now because it is going to incentivize businesses to keep growing and maybe invest a little more, potentially, hopefully hire some people.
And hopefully people are going to sit back and save a little more. They're going to look forward to their retirement. And this leads us to some of the unanswered questions.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is, you know, with this relief, are people actually going to go out and spend that money, or are they going to continue to pay down debt? And that's what's been going on here. This recovery's kind of thwarted a little bit because people are paying the bank rather than going out to Walmart and spending the money. Will businesses invest? Well, there is an incentive in here for 100% tax write-off on technology investment, so that's a good thing. And there's other legislation out there. You know, we need to know as employers what's coming with healthcare reform, what's coming with financial regulation reform. This piece of it was an important first step, particularly at this time of year when businesses are trying to make their plans for 2011.
And when those questions are answered, we'll know whether or not new jobs will come as a result. Joe Krier,
absolutely.
Always a pleasure. Appreciate you being here.